Alright, so Pete, back in high school, I had a fine teacher sophomore year. Like, I mean fine. Like, she was 23, young. I'm not gonna describe how she looks, but she was very, very attractive. And every guy in my school wanted to get at that. I mean, I was seeing niggas who ain't have a single shot at this girl try to shoot, bro. And look, this teacher was a very respectable woman. She was heavily devoted to God and Christianity. So every single shot that was shot up, she swiftly laughed it off and ignored it. Blocked by James, whatever you want to say. Nothing was gonna happen with that. And she's engaged to a nice 25-year-old man, I assume. He looks pretty old. Not a 16-year-old. That's what we're talking about today. See, for some reason, it's become a trend for these younger teachers that may or may not be attractive. They could be fine, they could be chopped. I've seen the both. To just sleep with their students. And it's weird. Like, I see it happening more and more. It's like a news story every single month. And nobody really cares. Matter of fact, people are in the comments congratulating these students for having sex with their teachers. But in all reality, it's rape. Let me show you an example, though. I was on Twitter and I seen this post talking about a 33-year-old high school Spanish teacher accused of having sex with a 17-year-old student. Now, first off, if it's gonna be a teacher, for some reason, it's always gonna be the Spanish teacher. I don't know why they so freaky. 33-year-old girl with a 17-year-old boy. That's like a 16-year age gap. That's disgusting. And you would think everybody would be on the same page about how disgusting that is. I mean, she's almost doubled his age. That's weird. Well, you'll be wrong, because if you scroll down into these comments, you'll see replies like this. I don't feel sorry for the 17-year-old kid, because I remember being 17 would have been a dream come true for any kid that age. When I was in school, all the female teachers look like Mrs. Doubtfire. Just say you don't talk to women. What are we talking about? Is that not weird to y'all? I don't care how much of a fantasy that could have been. That's still that's weird. And here we finally have a reply with some sense. Having sex when a boy is the victim, rape when a girl is the victim. Must be tough being a boy child in this life. Which is a real tweet, bro. Like, people don't really care when men get raped at all. That's just a big thing in society. We oftentimes think, oh, it's cool, you feel me? Men like they don't care who it is. Bro, if it's a 40-year-old woman trying to have sex with a 15-year-old, that is weird. And honestly, it's just as weird for a 33-year-old to try to have sex with a 17-year-old. I don't care if he's a year off of 18. That's weird. That's a 16-year age gap. The age gap is almost older than the student. I will sound odd, but it's really different. When there's a girl, 17-year-old girl will not be able to defend herself against a 33-year-old dude, but a 17-year-old guy is strong enough to defend himself against a 33-year-old woman. I believe it or not. I almost had a stroke reading that. First off. Second off, you're just weird. This is not Pornhub. This is not X videos. This is real life. That is still weird. Even in the case and in the off reality that the boy did enjoy it, that doesn't matter. That's still rape. What are we talking about? And I'm getting so tired of weird, horny, porn-driven, lustful guys congratulating men on getting raped. And if you want to know why I'm going so hard on this topic, I want to show you a different case of this same situation happening. Y'all ready? 3, 2, 1. Yeah, you're not saying that shit now, aren't y'all? Barstool high school teacher arrested accused of sexual relationship with a 16-year-old student. Arrest the 16-year-old too. So it's different when they're ugly, right? Only reason why y'all are congratulating these guys is because the teacher is attractive. And no matter how attractive they are, that teacher is still a pedophile and they should be shamed. Think if the roles were reversed, right? Let's say it's a Michael B. Jordan looking male teacher and a 16-year-old girl. The girlies in the comment section not finna be defending that teacher talking about, well, he's fine, so it doesn't matter. No, they're finna call him a creep and a weirdo. And he is a creep and a weirdo, so he should get that criticism. No matter how attractive that teacher was, she is still a creep and a weirdo. And she's exposing a minor to a lot of sexual activities. Stuff like that turns people into sex addicts. It's a lot of things that go into it, bro. But when the teacher looks like this, you got niggas over here calling the kid blind or a retard. And I get most of these people are just joking, but at the same time, there's truth to every single joke. And at the same time, we shouldn't be joking about. If the roles were reversed, I'll be calling for public execution, bro. Don't act like y'all wouldn't. Nobody cares when boys get raped. They only care when girls do. I've heard so many stories of younger boys getting sexually assaulted, touched, and everything, like pretty much everything you could think of while they were at a very young age.
When I was 9, I got by a guy with Down syndrome.
Don't laugh, Brandon.
I'm not laughing.
Why'd you laugh?
It's just,
That's rude.
it's such a curveball.
I'm gonna say it again, and if you smile, I'm gonna leave. So when I was 9 years old, every day for a summer.
Every day? You couldn't avoid him, for God's sake?
All right, hold on.
And while I don't know anybody who's personally clapped a teacher, I remember this one story of this guy getting assaulted at the age of 5 by his 13-year-old cousin. And the way it impacted him in his future is so heartbreaking and scary that it literally just, it disgusts me. Because one day his cousins was babysitting him when he was like 5 or 6. And they were playing little games, they were playing house and all of that. And then one of the cousins just wanted to experiment, but they didn't have a guy around, so they just used their little cousin. They proceeded to do all types of weird stuff with the cousin, to the point where the boy started crying, calling for his mom, but like they were babysitting him, so the mom wasn't there. Whenever he would tell his parents, nobody believed him. So every single time he would go over to his cousin's house, the same process kept on happening. And it affected him so much to the point where when he grew up, he was put into special classes because of the trauma, because he didn't want to talk, he didn't want to socialize. His brain was just overall messed up. Now look, all of that could have been hereditary, or some of that could have been hereditary for his actual mental weaknesses and all of that, right? But at the same time, I find it very hard to believe that those sexual experiences and that trauma that he suffered when he was a kid didn't have any part to play into it. You don't really talk about the repercussions of having sex at a young age for a boy. And I can tell you firsthand, it really does mess with your brain, because I actually had at 12. That's when I lost my virginity. It was to a girl that was much older than me. And it wasn't rape. It wasn't any of that. But I'm not finna sit here and act like I wasn't kind of pressured into doing it. At the same time, I kind of got myself in that situation. It's partly my fault. And I did want to do it once I started figuring out what was finna happen. But at the same time, this was before I even really knew what sex was. She literally had to coach me through it. And I know some of y'all are behind the screens thinking like, yo, that must have been the best thing ever. I mean, whatever. No, it's not. And let me tell you why. See, at the time, I thought I was the man. I thought I was that guy. I thought, you feel me, I was like lucky for getting to do it at a young age. But here's the thing, me having sex at a young age literally corrupted my brain to the point where I thought for several years of my life, the only point of talking to a girl that isn't your friend is for sex. And I genuinely thought this for like 5 years of my life. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. And the reason why is because that was really how I got introduced to women. Like, I didn't learn to like women, love them for the beauties and flaws. I just thought about, yo, I kind of want to see that clap on my dick. And that's a very, very dangerous trap to fall into, because you stop looking at women as people and more like objects, sexual objects, which is even worse. From the time that I was 12 till now, I've racked up so many bodies, it really doesn't make sense. I feel like the big problem with why we cheat so much in our society is because we like each other's bodies and not each other's souls. For you to truly be happy with a girl, you have to enjoy her soul, the good and the bad, the pleasant and the unpleasant, not just her body. Just because a girl has a fat ass and a pretty face doesn't mean you need to date her. That's such a horrible mentality. It's crazy, and women do it too. But the reason why we do it is because at a young age, we were exposed to tropes before we were exposed to actual people. And I'm slowly trying to get back to a point where like I don't only value that, but it takes time. But God been working with me, he been helping me, so I feel like I'm gonna be straight. Just gotta trust the plan though. But besides that, I think that's gonna be it for this little video. I'm not gonna lie. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comment section below, and feel free to share your stories. If you have a story, if you have a trauma story, feel free to share it, bro. It's a safe space. Twitch right here, go tap in if you want to hear more stuff like this in a live setting. We got a good community. YouTube live, tap into my second channel or my main channel. I don't know which one I'm posting this on. Also, go stalk my Instagram. Besides that, I appreciate y'all for watching. You know I love y'all. God love y'all. Jesus love y'all. Stay blessed. Appreciate